But then you watch a game like tonight and LeBron kicked his ass. He's not ready to be a top 15 guy, but he really, really, really gives a shit about every game. It's great. I love it. This is a long, sustained offensive excellence that when you watch it feels legitimate. We're not going to be nice. What do we care? We're just these, let's call it what it is. All right. Well, it's a bad sign, Sal, that we're starting a podcast before a Sunday night game ends. I had so high hopes for Lions Vikings.
I know.
Mike, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, Mike.
Oh, Bill, this game, these two teams saved the NFL because it was a shitty beyond shit slate for us in week 18. And then one team forgot to show up. Football's funny.
So many things to get to.
Yeah.
I guess.
Hey, we won, man. We're winners. That's the big thing. We had the Lions 1 seed. It's great.
1 seed. Well, and then hedged at least some of it with the Vikings.
All right, we're idiots.
That didn't work out too great.
Yeah, always.
So, big takeaway from this game. Do you want to go, we shouldn't have been sleeping on the Lions this whole time? Or do we want to go, are we ready to write off the Vikings after that game as a real contender? Because I am not. I actually think they just had a bad game where a bunch of shit went wrong. And I'm not ready to be like, nope, that's who they are. Like, I just think it was one of those games. And if anything, I want to buy in on them in the playoffs now, because now I think everybody's off now. It's like, oh, Sam Darnold, there he is. Oh, the Lions kicked their ass. Oh, you just have to rush them. And I've watched them all year. That was a really good team. I just think they suck tonight.
I'm with you, but it was a really good team. That Detroit defense, like that was fucking phenomenal. That is the wild card. You didn't expect that to show up, right? Like nothing. All right, so you can go both ways, right? Like Darnold missed a lot of throws in the first half, open guys. I know you thought they should have run the ball down low instead of turning it over
instead
twice.
of seven straight pass plays.
Yeah. So in a way, that was the difference. But man, that Lions defense and Anzalone being in there and just stuffing that middle. I mean, that was just a great physical game. On every 3rd and 3 call was met with like hard hits and lots of good coaching decisions, like high level QB play mixed in with some curious throws. But it makes me think both these teams are going to be good in the playoffs, but especially the Lions, obviously.
Well, we didn't know even this morning, I don't think officially, that Anzalone was coming back.
Right.
And he had a big impact. Some of the play calls had a big impact. Darnold just reverted into pre-Minnesota Darnold, which I think the Lions defense had a lot to do with. But the thing I love, we talked about this last week, the thing I liked about the Vikings and the Bengals was their ability to play pitch and catch with their receivers when they really needed to. Where was that tonight? They couldn't do it at all. Where was that on 3rd and 7? Where was that around the end zone? Even Jefferson had some uncharacteristic drops. They never got like the 30-yard pass interference. They never got the Addison just busting loose for a 40-yard play. Akers was the only one that had like the monster play. But I'm torn because, one of my best friends, Jeff Gallo, huge Vikings fan, he's texted me in the second quarter. He's like, this is classic. Here we go. This is the Vikings that I've had in my life for 50 years. Turning it over on downs inside the 5. They're going to play all the hits. And he was right. It was when they kicked it out of bounds right before the end of the first half. It's like, here we go. Classic Vikings. This is what we do.
That was bad.
But the thing is, I didn't feel like this was a classic Vikings. This is what we do team. They were the opposite of that. So I'm not ready to sell on them yet. I think they just suck tonight.
I'm not going to either. And I think both of us thought that the Lions needed this more, right? Like, I felt like the Lions defense wasn't going to be able to travel on the road. I don't even know about that first game. We'll get to that when we guess the Lions and stuff. But I thought they had to be a 1 seed, right? So they needed it more. They went in there and they bullied them. And Campbell really bullied KOC, I thought, too. Like, he had some really mischievous shit going on. Like 4th and 2, definitely should have kicked the field goal to go up 3 scores. Went to draw him off sides, and you kind of have to bite because he actually could go. He's like the one guy who could go on 4th and 2. So I think they were kind of bullied in all facets, and that crowd was great and everything else. But I'm not gonna. Look, we were 2 in on Sam Darnold. We're gonna look like hypocrites. I still think he's a big contract guy. I don't think it's the pumpkin Cinderella thing, whatever they want to say there. But I think they're all right with Sam Darnold, Minnesota fans.
Yeah, and the Minnesota fans for 3, 4 hours are just going to be in funk, and all the PTSD is going to
Yeah.
come back. Eventually, they're going to look at this game and be like, probably was an intentional grounding in the end zone on Goff. We
Hmm.
dropped a pick six. We dropped multiple plays that would have either extended drives, or Jefferson, uncharacteristically, it seemed like he should have had a touchdown. He dropped that. You just go
Right.
through, and it's like, actually, we were right there with those guys. And Goff was putting the ball up for grabs just as many times as Darnold did in this game.
Yeah.
Gibbs
I
was
feel
the
bad
best guy in the field.
not shitting on anybody, but I feel like both these teams could do pretty well and they could meet in 2 weeks. So we could see a totally different game then.
At halftime, there was no scenario in my head that was somebody was winning by 20 plus.
I
I
know.
felt
That's
like,
why.
and that's what I was telling my buddy. I was like, you're going to have the lead in the third quarter. It's fine. Then they start driving. Akers has that big run. They're down
Is he
4.
still your buddy? Have you checked? I mean,
He's
you
fine.
can't make
He's
proclamations
I've
like
been
that.
doing
Yeah.
this with him for 40 years. He's Akers has got that. It seems like he's just going to score. They catch
Yeah.
him. And then they have to, it's just, they never got the lead. It felt like as soon as they got the lead, I wanted to see what that Lions team. The other thing that to the positive stuff of the Lions, defense looked way better. The
Mhm.
home field advantage there, it's just, they were talking about it before the game, how Tony Dungy, I think he says this every year, no matter where they are on location. He's like, guys, I've never heard a place louder than this in my entire career. I think he just does it every year wherever they are. But
Yeah.
that place was super loud. Now you have to go through there to win. Their defense is getting better. Maybe they get Hutchinson back by round 3.
Yeah.
Um, the thing that I was the most surprised by was without Montgomery, I was worried, could they hold leads? Could they keep leads? Would
Hmm.
they be able to get these 3rd and 3? Would they be able to just keep drives going? And didn't feel like they missed him that much.
He's so quick, Gibbs, right? They also look
He was
faster
awesome.
than everybody too. So once he turns the corner, it's he's in no man's land. You're just not going to catch him. Are you comfortable with them being the Super Bowl favorite right now? 3-1 odds.
Is that what it is? I was gonna actually look that up. So they're
Yeah,
they're the favorites.
they're the favorites. Chiefs plus 350. Ravens and Bills 6-1, and then the Eagles 7-1, and the Vikings bounce all the way down to 14-1. So if you want your value, 14-1, it's right there. Except they have to win 4 games now. So I guess that could make sense.
Hmm. You know, them and the Ravens, same situation, right? Where this season's so long, we have all these advanced metrics we can look at, and you just kind of talk yourself out of anybody's defense being able to do a turnaround. And both of those defenses are playing better. That's
Yeah.
probably who I would pick at this point. As much as I hate going against KC, I think that Baltimore Detroit would be the life on the line pick, but the wise pick would be KC Detroit, which was I think what our Super Bowl was that. Oh, that was the one we bet on, right? Or you bet on the seeds? I
I
bet
had
on
the
the Super
one
Bowl. You
seed.
bet
So
on the
that's
seed.
God bless. I collected 26-1 odds on the one seeds, but my Super
Unbelievable.
Bowl was Buffalo. I know, I know.
Well, we did
I
our
had
futures draft. You won the futures draft single-handedly with the
just on that
26 to
dumb
1.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how about you? 27. Then we'll stop jerking each other off here. But what were you, 27-5 with the
The
preseason picks?
over-unders. 20
All right.
Houston and Arizona both hit today. So 27-5. And all 5 were like giant losses.
That's
It was like I
ridiculous.
didn't come remotely close to the 5. It was like Jacksonville,
Yeah.
Minnesota. It was all like, but everything else I hit.
Yeah, you should probably get -6 for the Jets, betting the Jets over, but no, 27-5. It all
The
counts.
crazy thing is, I really almost took Buffalo. It was a seesaw for me that whole summer, and I just
We
I
have to
just got
seek
sucked in with the
therapy and
Rodgers.
figure out why we want to bounce Buffalo from the AFC East spot every August, the top spot, because we do. We look for it, and it's just never there.
All right, so here's what we got for playoffs. Well, first of all, we do this every year, and one of the things is I was trying to figure out the league before the year, and I was trying to figure out, well, we have to have 6 new playoff teams. That's just the rule, and I couldn't get
Hmm.
there, and I think I only picked 4 or 5.
Well, there's 6.
No, there's 4 new playoff teams.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we lost Cleveland, we lost Miami, we lost San Francisco, and we lost Dallas.
Oh shit.
We gained Denver, the Chargers, Washington, and Minnesota. And
All
that's
right.
it. So usually it's 6, sometimes 7. There might be the occasion where there's 5. 4 is like a crazy non-turnover year.
4 is fine. Yeah. Let's get the Cowboys back in, but then we'll stick to 4 the rest of the way. I
Well,
don't mind it.
there was some like that the fact that Pittsburgh made it back in, and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Like some of the weaker teams somehow ran it back. But anyway, we have
They can't
Ki-
be flexed out, Pittsburgh, right? We checked on that. They just after their
how do you
performances
go
last
from
month.
500 plus yards against Cincinnati
Yeah,
to not being able to get a first down 4 weeks later with all
and
the same
44
guys
points.
on your team? And all the same guys on sits down. I didn't get that.
Yeah.
So our one seeds are KC and Detroit. We have Denver at Buffalo in the 2-7, Pittsburgh, Baltimore 3-6, Chargers at Houston 4-5. The Shakey's game. This was on
Yeah.
Twitter. This is the eighth time Houston has been in the Shakey's game since 2011.
Is that playoff purgatory? They're 8 for 8 in those
We just call it the Schaub Classic now, right? The
yeah,
Shaky
right.
Schaub Classic.
Yeah, shaky
They,
shop. I like
yeah,
it.
Shaky
Yeah.
Schaub. And then Green Bay at Philly, Washington at Tampa, Minnesota at the Rams is the 4-5, and that's going to be. Um, is that that's a Sunday nighter or a Monday nighter?
Mini at the Rams, we sent each other what we thought the schedules would be.
Yeah,
You made an amateur mistake.
I did.
The Monday has to be a 4-5 because they have
Yeah,
to know before then where they're sending the winner of
yeah.
that game. So yeah, Minnesota at the Rams at SoFi is Monday.
Well, Amazon is the big winner because they got Pittsburgh, Baltimore on Saturday night, which is a great game. The two best games are Green Bay, Philly, and
Are
Pittsburgh,
you
Baltimore.
surprised that NBC didn't get Green Bay at Philly Sunday night? That was like my big. I was like, wow, they're going with Tampa Bay and Washington. It's
I
interesting.
I think Fox big boyed it.
They must have. They must
I
have
think
been able to
they
protect it.
I think
Yeah.
CBS and Fox each get to protect one of
Right.
them, right? So if you're although it is interesting that CBS probably would have wanted Pittsburgh Baltimore, right? I guess Buffalo is the most public around one team because of Josh
Hmm.
Allen and the fans, and you get to go there and people are jumping through tables. So
Right.
maybe they wanted that. I don't know.
Yeah, it hurts
Um,
less to jump through tables on a morning game, than it would at night, I guess.
so the biggest surprises for me, just big picture today, other than that Minnesota, I really thought Minnesota was at least going to show up. I thought that was going to be a come down to the last 5 minutes game. Detroit was great. Gibbs was awesome. The biggest surprise for me today was that the Rams didn't care if they were the 3 seed or the 4 seed. And it was explained to me multiple ways. I get it. They haven't had a bye week since week 6. Um, they
Yeah.
wanted a rest. They didn't really care where they played. They're going to play everyone anyway.
Right.
I just I don't know. I just would much rather be the 3 seed that now they have to play Minnesota next week versus playing
Yeah.
Washington. It's no contest. I would much rather play Minnesota than Washington. So
I,
I don't
I
know. Was it
I
worth it?
get it. Isn't it so weird? Like the different philosophies, like McVay's like, you know what, we're injured. I've seen what this team looks like injured. We want to make sure we're in good shape next week, whoever we play. And Dan Campbell's like, screw it. This game means nothing. We're starting everyone against the
Yeah.
49ers. I don't care if we have 20 guys on IR. It is so bizarre that everybody is so different and you can't like go too crazy about one philosophy over another. But even with that, they almost won that game, the Rams. Like
I know
at
they
some
were
point,
winning.
Jimmy G wasn't bad. He
No,
really
he wasn't.
wasn't. They sent guys after him, and then eventually it caught up. But they were right there in that game.
Yeah, I thought if they had won, he would have looked like a genius. And he was really involved on the sidelines. He
Oh
was doing
yeah,
McVay is like the number one. Does the I'm doing a fist pump for people listening in the
there
audio.
you go.
He's doing around. He's got the one move and he just
Is
goes
that a
to it.
fist?
He's
That's supposed
he's
to be
like a fist
yeah.
with like a overbite face.
Right.
It's like the guy. What movie is that where the guy's like the one guy in the dance floor? His one move is the rolling the dice when he's on the dance floor, and all he can do is the dice move. Oh no,
Oh
he's gonna
right,
do
right,
the
right.
dice move. That's McVay's fist,
Well,
but
he
he
had a
was really
guy that
into
was
it.
supposed to hold him back. Didn't he have a get back guy for so many years? What
Yeah, then
happened to
he
that
got
guy?
married. He didn't need to get back guy anymore.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, so they're playing Minnesota in the 4-5, which I think is just brutal because you could make a case that game we just knocked up. Cerruti says that's the dice move. Thank you,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Cerruti.
yeah. Right. Nice.
Um, you could make the case the game that we just watched; those were the two best teams in the league. I
Yeah.
don't know if you'd make it after watching Darnold for 4 quarters, but that especially the first hour of that game, the hitting, how
Hmm.
people flying around, it was like Jesus. We've been watching shit football all day. And these guys are like, it looks like they're on the all Madden level watching this. you
Yeah, and
know?
then you got Tomlin, who was thinking like you were thinking, like, oh, maybe we don't want to play the Ravens. It's much easier to go against the Texans in the shaky game,
Yeah.
and they just couldn't get it done. But
No.
177 yards of offense before that last drive. But
We're
yeah,
bouncing around, obviously. I had that
right.
coming later, but I'm happy to talk about it now. I really felt like there was a Fields play in that game that just to shake it up, try something different, just to throw the game out of whack a little, considering that Wilson wasn't doing much anyway. And Pickens, I don't know what happened to that dude the last month, but it felt like, hey, just bring Fields in for one series and just like show them this. Let's see what it looks like. And
Yeah,
I don't know. They've just seems like they've completely punted on Fields, and it's like Russ, this is it. But I felt like they really could have run the ball in Cincinnati, and they just couldn't. They just chose not
definitely.
to.
Yeah, hustle and bustle, taking bad sacks and everything. And you're right, they did drop a lot of balls. I think Pickens was like at 900, 100 yards away from a 1,000-yard season and ended up with 899. Like it was ridiculous what kind of day he put forward. He was dropping everything
So
that was
bad.
thrown to him. But I don't know, man. I go back and forth with Tomlin. I'm like, this guy, I don't know, all right, you're just going to be around 9 wins every year, 10 wins, one round and out in the playoffs. And then I'm like, holy shit, I haven't liked his quarterback in a decade,
Right.
including Big Ben's last few years. How is he even doing this, getting it going? But you're right. Yeah. Why can't we see Fields on a gadget play somewhere in there?
Yeah,
Probably
it
would have
felt
won.
like the first half of the season they were way more experimental with that stuff, and then
Mhm.
as the season went along, no. Yeah, Tomlin, you sometimes you wonder like if he's like the guy at work who once he hits his bonus, he just say, "Yeah, I'm not going to go in today. I already
Mhm.
got my bonus." Like Tomlin's like, "I got the 10 wins. I'm good.
Yeah.
Wait
It's
till the
also
playoffs now."
yeah, it's an arrogant organization too. Let's face it. Like they bragged about spending less than $3 million on these two quarterbacks, right? Denver still paid most
Yeah,
of Russ's salary. And it's like, no, eventually you got to do it. I think like they looked at their division, like we can go out and sign a Lamar or try to get like someone like Lamar or look at Joe Burrow, but they were terrified of what happened with Watson. So they took the bad example in their division and ran away from it and
yeah.
eventually catches up to you.
I don't mind it. I'd love to know what happened to Pickens because he was such a key part of everything that was working for them, and to just
Yeah.
lose him completely in your offense, it's pretty easy to stop.
What a cover. That was one of the ridiculous covers of the year, too. The Steelers getting 2.5.
I loved it. The other big thing that happened today was this NFC South battle, which I'm proud to say I had no dollars on. Um, it just seemed like a complete stay away. And I was just living vicariously through the text of you and some others who
Ugh.
had fallen into the friendly fire of those two games, and it ends up with the Bucks squeezing it out. There was like 14 points during both games where you thought the other
Yeah.
team was going to win or something bad was going to happen. It was the best moment of Bryce Young's NFL career. He was super fun to watch, and it really seemed like New Orleans was going to beat Tampa Bay, and then Baker, who Sal, I got to say, I think he's number 3 for me for MVP behind
Really?
Josh and Lamar. I'd put him over Burrow. His team won 10 games. He threw 41 touchdowns. He over and over again made plays with his legs. There was a whole month where he just had no weapons at all.
Hmm.
He had a rookie running back. I don't really love his coaching staff. I
Right.
just felt like he dragged that team to 10 wins and over again came through for them. So he was
He's
great and he
amazing.
did it again.
Definitely top three, fun to watch. And our friend Hench points out, like, when does a guy get legs in his seventh season? If you look at his rushing yards this year
Yeah.
compared to the first six, whatever it was, just spectacular. But I wasn't able to enjoy it. But I had so much money on Tampa Bay to win the division and all sorts of money line parlays with Tampa Bay on them. I really felt like Pesci being led to the basement. Like halfway through the second quarter when the Saints were up 2 scores, I looked down to see if the floor was covered in plastic. And I was like, oh no. Okay, but Baker fought for me. It was beautiful,
He
really
really did.
beautiful. And
And then the
Atlanta ought to be
game's
ashamed of
over, and they're
themselves.
like,
Yeah,
wait, we got to get Mike Evans this bonus. It's like, what are you guys doing? It's not like it was week 14. It's like you're trying to get to the playoffs. I like Mike Evans. I like
yeah,
records, but that was, and it really seemed like they're clearly throwing it to him. I don't know
Yeah.
why New Orleans, like the moment the ball wasn't snapped, why aren't you just running a straight line? Why don't you have two guys on Mike Evans? Like you
How
actually have a
about
chance to get the
8?
ball back.
How about
Yeah.
8 guys? That's the only reason they're snapping the ball and not taking a knee is to throw it to Evans. Come on, Clogger.
The crowd's
Clog it
cheering.
up.
They're chanting for Mike Evans. It's
Yeah.
like
It's like
fucking nine
that
guys
guy's
on him.
catching a screen. Of course it is. So yeah,
It's
those
like I played
incentives.
Madden with Ben this weekend, and he was Miami, and he just kept trying to throw to Tyreek Hill. So eventually, I just brought another guy over, and I was just I was like, I know you're throwing to Tyreek Hill, but now I'm going to put this guy here. The Saints
Yeah,
should have had 4 of those guys, just trying to maybe
no
they get
doubt
a
about
tip
it.
or something. So they win, and at the same time, Atlanta is about to go into overtime with
Mhm.
Carolina, but then realizes that the dream is dead and Carolina wins in OT. But it was a roller coaster ride. You know who didn't deserve to be in the playoffs though? Atlanta.
Yeah, you're right.
Like some of these teams that worked out, like Miami didn't make the playoffs. You know who should have made the playoffs? Miami. You know who
Mhm.
deserved to make the playoffs? Cincinnati. So I feel like we landed in the right place with
I think
like
you're right.
who's the worst playoff team for you?
Well,
It's
right now, just the
probably
way they're playing, it's
probably
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah, or
Just the way they're
Houston.
playing. But I know that's gonna be a close game probably in the fourth quarter. Oh yeah, Houston, I don't trust too much either. One of those AFC teams, I think. Yeah, Atlanta. Roger Goodell must hate Atlanta because we didn't realize it. I don't think because we did the podcast right after that Atlanta Washington game. They fucked up 4 games this week. There would have been 4 games that what meant something, including the Rams game,
Right.
including their game, Carolina, and and the Washington game would have mattered too against Dallas. Like Goodell must have a Raheem Morris voodoo doll. No one's happier that Atlanta's not in than Roger Goodell.
Well, I don't understand how they picked the games yesterday. I don't understand how Baltimore Cleveland was one of the games. Baltimore ended up with they were like a 21-point favorite.
Yeah, right.
There's no world where unlike my stupid team that we'll talk about later, there was no world in Cleveland is ever threatening to ever win that game for 1 second. So you have these 2 Saturday games, and the first game is just abysmal.
Mhm.
It's like Bailey Zappi. What has he got going? And I don't know. I think I would have put Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Miami Jets as the
Mhm.
2 Saturday games. And then both of those teams are still alive technically. And then you
Right.
go into Sunday, and then Denver has to take care of business either way. But I think
That's
that was the
exactly
way
what
to
I
do it.
thought. Sometimes maybe I think they screw with the fans and like, let's see, this is a meaningless spread. It's gonna be the biggest of the year. Let's see how many eyeballs we get on this game. Oh, good. Football still works. Everybody watched.
Oh, you
Zappy
think
and
it's like
DTR.
a test
Yeah.
tube situation? Or like
Yeah,
Goodell's
exactly.
just mad at who had the game yesterday? It was ESPN.
Yeah. Well,
He's
good.
like,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
putting Orlovsky and Riddick in this game? Oh my God,
mhm.
I'm giving you Baltimore, Cleveland. That's it.
Right. We're gonna
Yeah.
serve 3-day-old meatloaf at the school lunch. See if people still buy. Oh wow, they're hungry around noon. Interesting. All right.
That was nuts. Well, anyway, today it seemed like the early games were going to be the least amount of fun possible. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, complete chaos. And unfortunately, my team, one of the most devastating days in the history of the franchise. Um,
Come on. Come
all right,
on.
maybe it wasn't. Uh, no, but it was when I think of like the dark, dumb days in the history of the team since I became a Patriots fan with Jim
Mm.
Plunkett and Mac Heron and everybody when I was like 4 years old. This has to be in the top 8 or 9. It's just a complete organizational collapse, disgrace. It made no sense. It made no sense as it was happening. Every other team, the fucking Chiefs knew how to tank, right? The Chiefs are like, here's Carson Wentz just handing the ball off, and then we're gonna bring in our third string quarterback.
I don't know what to tell you.
So I don't know what I don't I we had the first pick, and now we have the fourth
Yeah.
pick. We moved back 3 spots every single round.
Right.
And one of my friends texted me. It was like we traded the first pick for the fourth pick and got nothing in the trade.
Right.
And we moved back 3 spots every round. It was one, and we gave up all these potential assets that came with the pick. And the thing that kills me is they fire the coach right after the game. They knew they were
Oh,
going
you
to do
didn't
that
like
for
that?
at least a
You
week.
didn't.
So you're letting this guy make basically he's trying to win, and the offensive coordinator, they're trying to win because they don't know if they're going to be there. They're trying to coach for their jobs. You got to
Mhm.
get rid of those guys if you know you're going to get rid of them after the game. Why not get rid of them before the game? Why not put this decision in the hands of people who care about the big long-term picture of the franchise instead of trying to win the game.
All right. I mean, I'll give you that. Maybe they should have fired him before the game, but I know people who root for bad teams and then they just never end up rooting for their team. They just end up rooting for draft picks year after year, and they just never get to root for their
This is
team to
3
win.
hours. It's 3 hours of my life that I never have to think
The
about
whole
this game
month,
again.
the
You
whole
think?
last month, you were
Remember?
thinking about it. Yeah.
Well, what was the year Lovie Smith did this? What was it? 2 years ago
Yeah. I think it was
when he was
two.
just like, yeah,
Yeah.
fuck it, and he ends up.
And he was gone. Yeah.
And he was gone, and that he left the team with a nice shining turd on the sidelines.
Well, I mean, let's put a pin in this already. Like tanking kind of just doesn't exist in the NFL because, like, first of all, three teams were in line for the #1 pick in the last 3 weeks,
Yeah,
and they all won.
the other
The Raiders,
Tennessee.
the Giants, and the Patriots. No, but in the last 3 weeks, all those teams
I know,
had
but
the one.
Tennessee knew the job today. Cleveland knew the job yesterday. It's
Uh,
3 hours.
I don't
Once
think it
Joe Milton
happens.
looked good for a quarter, it's like, all right, you got to go.
Joe
You gotta
Milton's
get
your
out of
guy. How many quarterbacks do you think you have? Joe Milton's your best quarterback. Kyle
Well,
already ordered the jersey.
Joe Milton was fantastic. I would have started both rookie receivers, the guys who have had no catches all year. Drake May, they at least figured that out, but that took 5 days for them to figure out. But here's how I would explain it to somebody who didn't know anything about this. If you owned a company and you had, I don't know, hundreds of people that work for the company, and you had the single biggest decision of the year for that company that had the most financial and business implications possible, and you gave it to, I don't know, let's say your friend Harry is the president, and you're like, I know I'm firing Harry next week.
Getting good. Yeah.
I know I'm going to fire him on Sunday night, and this decision is going to be Sunday morning. Should I just let Harry make this decision for the company right before I fire him? Or should I try to figure out with other people who are going to be here next year what the best decision is? You know what? I'll let Harry do it, and then I'll fire him right after. It makes no sense. Right. No normal business operates this way. You don't turn over the biggest decision.
It's not a normal business. It's not.
Yes,
it's
just normal. Not. You just have to lose the game.
You shouldn't have hired Harry in the first place, is what I would say to you. But it's like, and you got people paying to watch this business on a
all
given
of them
day.
Are rooting for them to lose.
I don't know. Not Kyle. He's got the Joe Milton jersey.
Kyle was devastated. Kyle was the most upset of anyone I was texting with during the game, other than my dad.
Yeah, because now you have to trade Drake May. Of course, he's devastated. No. Yeah.
They had.
I don't know.
They were in the catbird seat. They already have a franchise QB. They're gonna have the #1 pick, but like within 2 hours, we were like, "Wow, the two QBs. Nobody even likes them that much in this draft. Maybe we couldn't have gotten that much for them anyway." It's just. Right. It just speaks to what this whole season was like, which was owners who don't know what they're doing, a front office that don't know what they're doing, and a coach who had no idea what he was doing and contradicted himself over and over again, starting in August when he was like, it's going to be a competition for this job. Then starts Brissett, even though May was better. And then 4 weeks in, he's like, well, May was playing better, so he's got to start. It's like, but wait, you actually said that wasn't what we were, but now we're, and it was just contradictions left and right, and he deserved to be fired.
Listen. That's fine, but now you have 3 coaches in the last 3 years. You're like the Panthers with the one and dones. Congrats, you root for the New England Panthers. And now it's like you can't talk about Patriot lore and well, we have grit and we're gonna go. We have staying power and all that. You're
that
like
left with Brady,
else.
Unfortunately. I know we're like everybody else, but we had a chance to have a franchise QB in the #1 pick in the draft.
You got
it's 3 hours out of your life. We do this all the time in basketball. It's like, oh, these 2 weeks are going to suck, but it's all going to be worth it because we'll be in this spot after it's done. This was 3 hours.
I think it's very difficult to get tanking to work in the
Buffalo
NFL.
did it.
You have to have the coaching staff, the players, and the front office on the same page. Maybe the Giants did it today.
Exactly.
They didn't do it in the last 2 weeks. In the NBA, it's as easy as checking in at the scorer's table. This is different. It's just different. It just is.
But
in the NFL.
you just laid out exactly what the problem was. You need to have the players, the coaching staff, and the front up. Well, the players are going to do whatever they're trying.
They're always going to play. They're not going to do whatever. They're always going to try. Yeah.
You need the coach, the front office, and the owners all to be on the same page. And when they're not on the same page, dumb shit like today happens because you have coaches who have different motivations for what's best for those 3 hours than the front office and the owners. And so some people are like, do you think he fired Mayo because they were supposed to lose that game and they didn't? I think they knew they were firing him the whole week. They had like this long statement ready, an hour and a half after the game. But this is what the whole year has been like, dating back to the Apple doc, dating back to this process of hiring a coach that was never a coordinator before. Not really hiring a GM, not spending money. And this was the worst team in the league that somehow doesn't have the worst pick.
But take me through it.
Go
What's
figure that
involved
out.
in losing today? Like the Bills play Josh Allen one play, right? Or one series, whatever.
So the Bills
And you
bring in
play Drake May.
Trubisky. Trubisky's
Yeah.
like actually pretty good, and they're like, all right, gotta get. The Bills wanted us to win. They bring in Mike White, and they're just handing
Right.
the ball up over the middle so they can give the ball back to us.
So it's a staring contest. So like
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. It wasn't like you started everybody. You were throwing bombs every play. It was just a weird game where both
Well,
teams
Joe
weren't
Milton was
trying.
great. And by the way, kudos to Joe Milton. He was awesome. This was his one chance to shine.
Yeah, he's your guy.
And he
That's
was
it.
really good. But this is really why you need a fourth quarterback. This is where you need a Bailey Zappi. You need a
I mean, I
Nathan
guess you could just
Peterman.
take a knee. You could take a knee every play, but whatever.
Well, but this
I
is
don't
when
know.
the offensive coordinator's not on the same page. And it's like, just can you just keep handing the ball off and have guys run into the middle of the line? Can we just keep doing that for a while?
Week 18
And
sucks. Let's just say that. We could just agree to that.
And every year
Because
I'm like, I'm never betting on this again. And then I bet on it. I had Buffalo. I also had Houston because I loved Houston. You lost your wise wager.
yeah, I sat my starters. I bet Tennessee.
You
I was
did.
like, they're 2-14 against the spread, and that's why I got to warm up for the playoffs. So I'm not starting anyone good. But I felt like today was like a little bit of an out of body experience. We're used to the 1 p.m. slate being kind of shit, right? But we saw so many backups today. It reminded me like of a high school reunion where you're like in the corner of the room, like you're sipping cheap wine and staring at name tags. You're like, oh, there's Marcus Mariota and Trey Lance. Oh wow, Jimmy G, what's he up to?
Jimmy G.
And then, like,
I'm gonna go over and talk to him.
yeah, Jimmy, how's
Jimmy
the
G, you
kids? And
still
then,
you still living in Los Angeles?
yeah, what's up with the divorce? And then like Davis Mills corners you and spends like 20 minutes showing you pictures of his vintage Chevy, and you're like, all right, I'm good. I'm good. Let's get to the playoffs already. This sucks.
Who was the Bailey Zappi?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Zappy
whole
and
weekend.
DTR.
It's great. Uh, Schefter's reported there's a trade. The Pats have
trade.
traded down from the first to the fourth pick, and they've dropped 3 spots in every round after that in return for jack shit. Got nothing. Got 0 to do that.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen the specs on jack shit. I'll have to see a
Yeah,
linebacker from
Jack
Emporia
Shea
State.
is a quarterback, undersized but scrappy.
All right, there's your
Kyle,
fourth
you excited?
quarterback.
Kyle, should I get you a jack shit jersey? Because that's what we traded the first pick for.
Oh man.
One thing I was thinking, I mean, at least they realized that they don't have the coach, and they got rid of
Yeah.
poor Mayo, who was put in an impossible spot. He didn't know how to be a head coach. But I was looking at the coaches who made the playoffs: Andy Reid, Kevin O'Connell, Tomlin, both Harbaughs, Peyton, McDermott, Dan Campbell, Matt LaFleur, D'Amico Ryans, and then Dan Quinn, Todd Bowles, and Sirianni as the last 3. Those are probably the shakiest 3 out of all the playoff coaches. It's a pretty
Right.
good batch.
Not
Just
bad.
makes me think like coaches and QBs. If you could just figure out those 2 things, you're probably good.
Yeah, that's a good starting point. I'm hoping Love is 100%. I'm hoping Hurts is 100%, so we don't waste a couple games in there. But yeah, it seems like all the quarterbacks, most of them will be solid. Got
So the
Herbert in
Pats,
there. Yeah.
I think Vrabel is probably the favorite because he was Patriots Hall of Famer, and I think he wants a job, and he has a relationship with Kraft, and he's a fucking awesome coach. And I can't believe he's available. I don't know why somebody hasn't already hired him, but
You think he used the Jets to nudge the Patriots to get
100,000%.
that firing
No question.
today?
No
Yeah,
question.
Well, that's probably the bigger reason they fired Mayo then today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's 5 teams are going to want him. Flores would be interesting too because he has Patriots DNA, was with the team, really good coach, coach somewhere else, so would it be his first job? Those would be my top 2. But Vrabel, I always thought Vrabel was a top 7, top 8 coach.
He'll be in good shape if you get him. Jack Shit's high school coach is his name is in the hat.
Well, that's the thing. And once you have Jack Shit, do you get Jack Shit's college coach?
Doesn't matter who coaches.
Bring him on. So Denver edged out Miami and Cincinnati. That was another thing. Thanks partly to the Chiefs, who wanted to make it clear from the first minute where you have no interest in competing in this game. I actually kind of like the Chiefs plus 11.5. I think I put them in a tease.
Once
But
that
the-
went north of 10, I'm like, oh, the books know more than we do here. They know more because it becomes more than Carson Wentz wants to try out for his next team. It's like Carson
Yeah.
Wentz is with the third string everything,
Yeah.
Carson Wentz isn't throwing all these
Yeah,
all
true.
the studs. So it doesn't matter.
He's throwing to white receivers.
Right.
Steelers, Bengals the day before, and we all got to get excited about the Bengals one last time. I realized the Bengals just existed for content, and that's about it. Fun to talk about. Could
Yeah.
get a Burrow MVP conversation out of it. Talk about T. Higgins. Is he going to be back? You could replay the montage of all the games they almost won. You'd be like, you don't want to see them in the playoffs, but ultimately
Right.
they had no chance because the
Yeah.
Chiefs had no real reason to compete in that Denver game. So we
Yeah.
just got free content for a week for nothing.
Right. You talk to your kids about the fantasy studs and everything,
Mm.
but although I will think, as Burrow, as great as he is, I was looking at their 8 losses. I think Mahomes and Allen win a couple of those. I think that's kind of the difference between
He
those
almost
guys.
lost the one yesterday, Saturday.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It would have been a perfect Bengals game and a perfect Steelers game, if not for the ending.
Well, he definitely seemed like he got concussed during that
Yeah.
Steelers game. They get really loosey goosey about some of these.
Hmm.
When a guy lands face down, there's a giant thing of turf. He stays down for a while, and then they show him on the sidelines after the commercial, and it looks like he thinks he's in like Antarctica.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure something happened that maybe the blue tent didn't accurately capture.
Yeah, Goodell has fired the director who took the shot him on the sideline, and it's like, let's not. That's one too many. We don't need to
Yeah,
show
why
this
are you
guy's
lingering on him like that?
eyes are rolling the back of his head. Show some terrible towels. People
Right.
chewing on terrible towels. Enough.
Yeah, so big picture with the Bengals, they're gonna be in the same spot some of these other teams are in. If they bring back T. Higgins, you're paying 40% of your salary cap
Right.
for a QB and two receivers. We just watched Miami do this. I don't think it works. I don't think it's sustainable. Miami completely fell off a cliff this week. Now, they started to realize during that Jets game, I think that ship had sailed for them. The Tyreek Hill stuff was super weird after the game
Mm.
and has been kind of weird all season. He's a little bit of the NFL's Jimmy Butler in some ways, where it never seems like he's happy for more than 2 months. And there's weird press conferences, and sometimes all of a sudden he's not playing.
Mhm.
But then after the game, he just seems like he's out of there. So
Seems
they gave
like
him a
it.
big.
No
He
one
basically
goes
said it.
off like he did, right? Like
Yeah,
I want out of the. Didn't he say I want out of this place? Like this is yeah. He had a weird year. It would have been nice. But how about Miami? I know they knew their season was over. How about win a game in cold weather so people could shut up about it for a second?
yeah,
And it wasn't just Tua. Like it's a whole team. Like just um, melts. Ironically, but I'm
right.
seeing this. Schefter said the Pats traded a second round pick for Mike McDaniel. Well, that's pretty good. That's
Stop.
not bad.
Come
That's not
on.
bad.
Why are you torture me?
I
I don't
got you a little
understand
bit.
how upset all
A
the Pats fans are.
little bit.
I thought, is Mike McDaniel, has he coached jack shit or no?
Yeah.
The Tyreek thing's weird because they gave him that extension, which makes him harder to trade. He's in his
Hmm.
30s now. I don't know if he's the easiest guy year to year. And I don't know
Right.
what his market would be. And we've watched receivers over and over again. They hit this stage of their career, and it's like, whoa, Tyreek Hill's available. But it's like, okay, what does that mean? It's like, Devontae Adams is available. Okay, cool.
Yeah. I nothing against Tyreek Hill, one of the best there's been the last 5 years,
Yeah, one of the
whatever.
best of the
But
last 10 years.
you watch college football, you're like, wow, there's studs all over the place that anyone could grab in the third round. And look at the backlog for Hall of Fame. Like there's a ton of like really good wide receivers who aren't going to get in the Hall of Fame. So
Yeah.
that might not be the position to
I
stage a
think the
protest
difference
in.
with him was we left last year, and I think he was the guy at receiver.
Mhm.
And really for probably the last 2 or 3 years, like Lombardi always used to call him the tilt the field guy. He was like the number one tilt the field guy. I think
Yeah.
that's gone now. And
Yeah.
it's partly not his fault because of what happened with Tua and the QBs, but it feels like Chase kind of took that spot this year. I mean, Chase's stats, I was looking at some of the league leader stuff. Chase was over 1,700 yards. He had 17 TDs,
Yeah.
and you just felt him in every game, and that's where Tyreek was. And the league leader stuff is interesting. Nobody threw for 5,000 yards, even though we had 17 game seasons. Burrow came the
Hmm.
closest, 49-18. Saquon was the only 2,000-yard rusher. Henry and Cook both had 16 rushing TDs. Chase had 17 passing. And then interceptions. We had a tie. What happens with the bets with
Oh,
ties?
It's a dead heat. I think you split the loot. Like half your bet wins and half of it loses. So
So Cousins and Mayfield, ironically, my number three MVP, 16
hmm
interceptions for him. Boswell had 41 field goals.
wow.
40 plus field goals is that's nuts.
Yeah.
It's like two and a half
That's
a
dumb.
game. And then Hendrickson
Stupid
led the league in
offense.
sacks with 17 and a half. My my Hutchinson bet tied.
Hendrickson leads in sacks, triple crown for Chase at receiver, and Burrow has the most yards. Terrific.
Yeah.
And Chase Brown got hurt. Otherwise, whatever. I'm looking at your Tyreek Hill in
Yeah.
terms of you figure like he always had a long of 45, at least if not every game, every other game. He had an 80-yard catch in September 8th, game one. After that, his long was 30,
Really?
and he did it twice. Yep. I'm looking at these.
Wow. I wonder, do you
Unbelievable.
think defenses started to figure him out a little bit better? Or?
It must be. I don't know. I mean, it's not like he got a lot of pass interference calls
Yeah,
for him.
that's
It was
weird.
it was a weird like year for him.
Well, speaking of Tyreek, it's time for today's player bundle segment presented by our friends at State Farm. Though
Oh,
it's tough to crown the best play in football history, no one can deny the magic when the right two players work together to pull off the unexpected, like the play that led to you becoming a crazy Cowboys fan, right?
the right Staubach and Drew Pearson.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
Did
go
you
with
watch that
that.
one?
I
Like, were you
did. It was
watching
very, very
live?
small. Yeah, and I've seen it. I feel like there's a lot of crap there. I don't think he pushed off. You think there was a push off? Watch it
I
again.
don't know. I think everyone was assaulting each other back then.
All
So it's
right.
hard to
Yeah.
say. Pretty physical. I remember it's
Right.
definitely one of the first ones I saw. I'm trying to think the synergy with the two players that played for my team was Moss and Brady that one year. I've never
hmm
seen anything like that. There was a couple regular season games when it felt like they could have had like seven
Right.
TD connections each one. So I think those are my favorites. You know what else is better together? Better than Moss and Brady? Bundling your home and auto insurance with personal price plan from State Farm. The personal price plan lets you call the place so you can choose the right coverage at a price that's right for you. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Who's your favorite neighbor?
My favorite neighbor is
Yeah.
Andy, the fireman next door.
No,
Oh,
wrong
I hope I
answer.
don't.
Your favorite
Eh?
neighbor, State Farm.
Oh, damn it. Oh, I had
Prices
State
are
Farm number 6, but okay.
prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state. Okay.
My favorite neighbor is Jack Shit. He lives on Main, like 512 Main Street. He's right there. He's a good guy. Barbecue.
End of the year stuff. Um, Only 5 teams were within a half game of their actual over under.
Hmm.
Usually, I always feel like Vegas has like half of them nailed exactly. That wasn't the case this year. The
Yeah.
biggest, the biggest unders were Cleveland and San Francisco were both 5.5 wins under their under.
hmm
Jets and Jacksonville were 4.5, and the Bears were 3.5. So whatever Vegas thought, 3.5 worse. For the overs, Minnesota ended up 6.5 wins over.
Yeah. Easy.
Washington 5.5, Denver 4.5, and KC and Philly 3.5.
And
So
so, what about the biggest outlier game of the year? It has to be the Raiders beating the Ravens.
yeah, or the Pats beating the Bengals in week
But
one.
neither one
Some
made
of
the
the
playoffs.
some of those
Yeah.
September ones.
Yeah.
I think we have to make a mental note next year. Just first 2 weeks, just put a giant salt shaker on your shoulder and
Yeah.
don't overthink it too much.
How could you say salt shaker on your shoulder so easily and Collinsworth still can't say pass rush and I can't say Collinsworth? Yeah. How is that possible?
He's salt shaker. Yeah, salt
He's
shaker's
got some
tough.
salt shakers on his shoulder.
I made an end of the year rock bottom rankings for you. Rock franchises rock bottom. Who's the deepest rock bottom right now? I think it's the Browns number one. They
Yeah.
3-14. They lost their last 5. They lost 8 more games than they lost last year.
Right.
Their last 3 games, they scored 16 points. They have 2 more years of Deshaun Watson.
Mhm.
And they have a top 2 pick, which they kind of stumbled into and didn't seem conceivable. But now they have the second pick in this draft that everybody's already like, I don't know about these quarterbacks. Um, and yet
They
they're
have
going to
to
have to
trade it.
take one, right? Or you think they're going
No,
to
they
have to
have to
trade
trade
back?
it. Yeah, they
Trade
have to just
back.
keep trading picks. They have to say, sorry, fans, we fucked up. We're going to be bad for the next 3 years. It's our fault. It's not yours. You'll still have to pay top dollar to get into these games, but we're going to have to do some maneuvering to get these draft picks back, to get some capital back. I really feel that's the way to do it. They're not a quarterback away from winning, and they're already paying a ton to keep the terrible one.
So how many teams would actually trade into this draft? And do you like some of the stuff I was reading the last week as I was trying to figure out what the Pats could get for number one before we
Hmm.
traded down to take jack shit. Um, the like Diana Rossini had a thing about the quarterback saying how
Yeah,
if Sanders and Cam Ward were in last year's draft, they would kind of have been in that Penix Drake May range. So if that's the
right.
case, that makes me think they're probably not going 1 and 2 because usually we see teams reach for QBs, but not if the grade for them is like mid first round, early second round. I'm so glad we have Todd McShay this year, plus our ringer draft guys. I'm sure this is
He's
going to be a
great.
huge topic. But I just we rarely see teams reach like that for quarterbacks that people aren't even positive are going to be above average starters.
I don't think the buzz is gonna grow for Shador Sanders. In fact, there are some experts who think he's like mid-second round at this point. But I think like whatever personal momentum he has is carried, it's gonna plateau. And so by that regard, I don't know if that's, Travis Hunter's a nice player. Cam Ward, again, a little bit shaky, but as far if you're gonna go for a quarterback, but I don't know who I'm looking like Kelvin Banks. They talk about the Patriots taking an offensive lineman. Nobody's
There's two
clamoring for
linemen.
these guys. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's fine. I'm sure these guys are good players and everything, but it's not like it's been in years past. Like when the Cowboys started winning, and I was like, all right, I don't know what the difference between 10 and 17 is at this point. Still gotta get
Yeah,
lucky.
sometimes there's this draft where you get the number one pick. Like we had it the year we took Ken Sims. It was like for the
Yeah.
1981 draft. We sucked the whole
Mhm.
year, and it just turned out to be a year where Ken Sims was the number one pick. Needless to say, not a lot of Ken Sims jerseys still around. Then you end up with another year like last year where he goes Daniels in May and Caleb Williams in the top three, and it's like holy shit,
Mhm.
And then you go through that. I mean, that's going to end up being an iconic draft.
Sure.
You look at the
Yeah.
first round of that draft, there's like 15 potential all pros in it,
Yeah, it could be a
So
lull. This could be the year.
could be
I
a
think
lull draft.
Jack shit will go. I hope Jack shit
Jack
isn't
shit
mean
could
to
go higher.
his girlfriend. If she's looking at her cell phone when he's drafted, like he's not gonna elbow her unnecessarily.
So we both think Browns are one. I was thinking true rock bottom, not having a coach or a quarterback, I think is
Mhm.
that's when you're really rock bottomy. So
Right.
Tennessee, I think, has to be second.
Yeah.
3-14. I don't know what they saw from their coach this year, which makes me think he's the coach. Levis
Mhm.
is so bad that they started him because they knew he would give them their best chance to lose. I wish we had had Levis today. Joe
Mhm.
Milton's like 100 times better than Levis. Um, so they're two, but at least they have the first pick in the draft. But as we said, it's a down
Right.
draft. Um, Giants, I would have three. They're in the same boat, except they're bringing back Dayball. And
Yep.
then
And Shane. Yep.
would you would you put New England, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and the Jets? Who would you put next?
I think the Jets have to show me something before I
A coach or a
think
quarterback?
about. Yeah.
Okay.
Until then, they're a joke of the franchise that everybody claims they are. And the win today over Miami is not showing me something. Sorry, it's just not there.
Yeah. So then, I mean, I honestly think Indianapolis would probably be fifth, and then you would have Jacksonville
Hmm.
and New England right after that. Because Indianapolis, I don't think they have a quarterback, and I don't think they have a
Yeah.
coach. But the season, would they finish like 8-9 or 7-8-9? I think 7-10.
Yeah.
They're somewhere in there, 7 or 8 wins, which fools you into thinking, oh, maybe we're not that far away. But I actually think they are far away.
Well, I mean, far away from what? I mean, that's the division you want to be in if you need to grow, right? Yeah. Indianapolis was 8-9. So they ended up like 2 games behind the division winner.
Yeah.
But you and I think, are both a little hesitant on backing that quarterback.
Is there anybody else you would throw in that
Um,
for rock bottom? Because
I
like the
won't put
Bears have Caleb Williams, the Pats have Drake May. Like there's at least things you can grab onto.
the only reason I put the Bears in there is because I think the Packers, Vikes, and Lions are going to be good for a little while here. don't you? Like you kind of have to look where they reside. And
Well,
I
they
don't know.
resided. They murdered our exact order pick.
I know. We should have just gone under 8.5 and to not make the playoffs. That
Was
was
plus
easy.
150.
Yeah, shit. So
Some
stupid.
A couple of my friends were asking because we were talking about how we did so well in the over unders. Like, was there juice on those when we picked them? For the most part, they were always like minus 115, minus 120. If there was crazy juice, we probably mentioned it on the podcast. Like,
Right.
I remember Pittsburgh under had a lot of juice. The Bears under
Hmm.
had a lot of juice. It's the Cowboys under had a lot of juice going the
Right.
other way because they didn't want you to bet it. So there's probably like 10, but for the most
Yeah, we
part, they
didn't
were around even.
we didn't cherry pick the minus 180s. I don't think there were that many
I don't think
anyway.
there
Yeah.
was,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there was some cases where we probably went the other way.
Hmm.
Speaking of the rock bottom rankings, Fantasy, who's been on fire all year with his Jets tweets, he tweeted during the Jets win today, an unlikable Jets team winning a pointless final game of the season, weakening draft position before a vast regime change, while an arch rival prepares to hire the coveted coach they never had a chance at. A tale as old as time. They might be bottom five.
I'm telling you. You'll have Giant and Jet fans. You could have like a 3-hour podcast of Giant and Jet fans just arguing who's in the worst
who's
spot.
who's angry about their
Yeah.
situation?
Where's the point of pride?
Well, that was the worst possible ending for Jets fans, where they're basically dancing on Miami's grave. Miami checks out,
Hmm.
and Rodgers all of a sudden is like firing touchdowns and moving around, and he's back, but against
Hmm.
this team that had checked out. And I guess that's the highlight tape he would send this spring if he's trying
Yeah.
to get hired. Hey, did you see my Week 18 game?
Right.
Four
Right.
touchdowns.
Yeah. Let's add an episode of Enigma. That's
We
going great.
we 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 beat Miami. They're trying to make the playoffs. I threw four touchdowns on them. The
He probably does think that. He does think like that. I might throw the Raiders. Did you mention the Raiders?
Oh, did I not have the Raiders in there? Oh, my apologies. Oh, the
Yeah.
Raiders are definitely top four.
Yeah, they have
I,
to
th-
be. I
thought
mean,
I had the Raiders. I must have copy pasted them and accidentally taken them out.
they
Yeah,
have
they're in top four.
three double digit win teams in their division, and I don't know. I mean, I know Tyreek Hill went nuts after the game. I feel like Brock Bowers is about to waste a bunch of years in that offense.
Yeah, what did Brock Bowers' friends and family tell him? Can he hold out now? Has anyone ever held out after year one?
That'd be great.
All right, so final rock bottom. Browns one, Tennessee two, Giants three, Raiders four,
That's fine as long as you have the
Jets
Browns
five.
number one. I don't
Yeah,
care where
okay.
anything else is. Yeah.
All right, that's enough foreplay. Guess the lines. Round one, Saturday. What's the records, by the way? Are we tied?
Oh
We're
no! Wait a
tied,
minute.
right?
9-8-1. You're up.
Wow.
9 weeks for you, 8 weeks for me. 1 week tied.
The Shakey's Schaub game. Saturday. Only two games on Saturday. The Chargers are traveling to Houston to play the Texans. I feel like there's probably some AFL version of this game when what was Houston? The Titans? In
The
the
Oilers?
and
What do you mean?
no, somebody was the Titans at
Oh
one
well, the
point.
Jets were the Titans, right?
Oh, the
Yeah.
Jets were the Titans. Was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Houston Oilers, and what were the chart? I guess they were the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They must have had some sort of AFL playoff game in the '60s, but that was some iconic game that neither
This
of us
is
were
it.
born
At
for.
Shaky was Shakey's
I
around
don't
in
know
the
if they were
60s? I don't
Shakey's
know.
Pizza. It was
Yeah.
probably a piece of pizza that tastes now as like it came from the 1960s.
Right.
Um, I guess the Chargers minus 2.5 in Houston.
We both did, and it's 3.
Mm,
It's pretty fair, I guess.
a compelling start.
I know it's down to 2.5, so we got it. We got it exactly.
Oh, we got it
Yeah.
exactly. Wonderful.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out who's the fuck job game out of these 6 games where everybody's
Mhm.
just on one side. Chargers are a candidate.
Definitely.
Who was the
In
game
fact,
last year? What was the
well,
Cleveland Houston game last
it
year?
might have
Right?
been Cleveland
Everyone
at
had
Houston.
Cleveland.
Might
Yeah.
have been the very same one, but we loved Stroud then. We're a little down on that offense right now, right?
Yeah.
And maybe a little, Harbaugh's going to want to win and, get keep it going and go. They'll go to Kansas City. Well, it depends what the other teams do, but we might fall in love too much with Harbaugh and Herbert over the week and forget about that the Texans are the home team and how they screwed us last year.
I'm trying to think how much of a home field advantage Houston would be.
Mm.
That's a
It's pretty
crowd that's
pumped
probably
last
getting
year.
nervous pretty immediately.
Yeah.
No Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs. I guess they could try to run on them. I like the Chargers team though. I think they're pretty talented.
When did the Texans,
Nice
when was
spot.
their last game? Like, you were like, oh, wow. All right, this
Oh
team's
my
got it.
God, it's been since like September, right?
It's a ton, right? Yeah.
Didn't they have a
Titans are not
good?
going to count. They beat the Dolphins 20-12, the Jaguars. Oh, they beat the Cowboys 34-10. That was it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how you know they're good.
We didn't talk about the Cowboys. Jerry
We don't have
Jones
to.
had a cameo in Landman in episode 9, the newest episode,
I'm not
and
caught up.
he
Yeah.
pops in, and it's like one of the better 3-4 minute cameos I can ever remember from a sports person on a TV movie thing. You can't
Oh, you're
like
being serious. You're
I'm
being
being
serious?
100% dead
Oh,
serious.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I texted you about it last night, and I was like,
I thought you were fucking around.
was
Yeah.
not fucking around. He's really good. He gives a whole speech to one of the characters, and it's
Mhm.
fucking good. It's like shockingly good. I couldn't believe it.
Oh, I got to catch up now.
No,
That's
it's
good.
great. Like you're kind of like, whoa, are you an actual actor? I'm
No,
sure
he
there was some
is.
editing
He's the
tricks with
best
it,
actor
but
in sports if you add it all up,
well,
right?
he added to. He's at least as good of an actor as like he's in Pesci and De Niro and those
Yeah.
guys. Like he easily could have been the Irishman.
He
It's
acts
really
like the
good.
teams could win a Super Bowl in his lifetime.
I swear he gets choked up during it for real as he's giving the speech.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. He's
Well,
really
now I
good.
have to watch. Yeah.
Sunday, 3 games. First one,
No,
Buffalo.
yeah, it's Saturday
Oh,
night.
I'm sorry, we didn't do Saturday night. Saturday night, Amazon. You knew they'd get a good one. Ravens, Steelers in Baltimore. Third time we've had this game.
Mhm.
I sent you my guess, and I think it's too low, but I'll stick with it just out of honor system. I had Ravens -6.5.
Good for you. You're an honorable man and a loser in this case. I said 7,
Yeah.
and it's 9.5.
Oh, Jesus. I would have changed it to 7.5. I don't know why I went low, but all right.
I feel like I'm gonna get smoked on this game. Like I'm gonna be so mad at myself a minute in.
So 7 point teaser takes the Chargers to +4.5. The Ravens under 3, and then we just need a third team, and we're good to go.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but I don't look. You think this is going to be? I mean, every time they play, it's 18-16, but you don't see it.
I listen. Can we? So you'd want a 10 point teaser, your money parlay.
I might be going the other way. And you know how bad I've been in the playoffs, but the Steelers could stay in this. Maybe we'll buy low on the Steelers.
It feels like their defense has like a good hour in it, where they look
Mhm.
like the Steelers from the first 2 months, but it doesn't seem like they can sustain it anymore. And I'm not really entirely sure what happened.
I know they killed the Browns. They covered a 20-point spread, which is admirable in
The Ravens.
2024. The
Yeah.
Ravens did. But there was a whiff of, oh shit, the calendar turned to January and Henry early on wasn't busting out for 15 yards. And it's still has to be Lamar on 3rd and 7 trying to scramble for a first down.
Mm.
Bill, I don't know.
I mean, we have been in this situation with Lamar as a big favorite,
Yeah.
and then about 40 minutes into the game, be like, "Oh no, I feel like I bet on this game before."
Why
I
is this
just don't,
13-12? Yeah.
unless the Steelers have just been playing possum for a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can think of that would make me think that they could hang in this game because it just doesn't seem like they can score more than 20 points anymore. So
Right.
what you laid out with 18-16, that would have to be the game.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have to be
It would have to
18-16,
be.
16-13, 17-16. That's it. So I think
But
if
it's always a
Lamar,
Ravens team that averages 30 points but can't score more than 17 against the Steelers. It's kind of always that, right?
yeah, or it's the other way where they blow them out
Yeah.
38-10. Because, and I got to go through the playoff manifesto again and go through all the rules and try to figure out what might apply. But this has all the makings of Ravens blowout round 1,
All right.
It's finally it. They've got it. And then round two, they score 13 points.
Right. Listen, we'll have him on a money line parlay, I'm sure. I'm not that stupid yet.
I'll tell you this. If Lamar loses this game,
Go ahead.
he now enters Marty Schottenheimer territory for I don't know if I can trust you anymore laying points in a playoff game.
Was he a bad quarterback, Marty Schottenheimer?
The Marty Schottenheimer teams. Remember
I know.
how many
I know.
teases and parlays his
Yeah,
teams
yeah.
blew over the years?
Yeah. You're probably right. They probably have this win in them, and then it's the following week. What are they now? 3 seed? So it's Buffalo. Yeah.
For the Steelers, it just feels like Freiermuth over the middle for 12.
Mm-hmm.
Pickens no longer makes any plays for whatever reason.
Right.
Najee Harris breaking 7 tackles and getting 12 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Austin over the middle one time for like 22 yards, but the explosive plays are just gone. So they
Yeah.
might have to go back to the Flacco PI offense, just try to get past interferences. Could
Right.
be the
And
other way to do it.
turn Lamar over a couple times too. That would have to be in the equation.
Yeah, the move might be to stay away. I have a nice nest egg still for $1 million picks, and I just am so afraid of Lamar in the playoffs. He's really got
Yeah.
to win me back.
Well, it's fake money, just so you don't have to worry.
Oh, it
You
is.
don't
You're
have
right.
to-
It's
yeah,
fake
don't be
money.
so
Well, I have
afraid.
real money too. Sunday, 3 games. Bills Broncos is the first game, and these guys have gotten here early, and they're jumping through. Um, Broncos, good bad team for you, or somebody that's a little lively for this game?
I don't know. I think their defense is just good enough that maybe they couldn't they force a game like the Patriots played, not today, but a couple weeks
The
ago.
other game,
Like
take
that
the
was
lead
kind of
early, couple long
yeah.
drives. Allen
That
has
was
a
a
three
nice
and
game
out. You're
plan.
up 10
Yeah.
nothing.
I'm sure your manifesto doesn't say great things about rookie quarterbacks on the road in the playoffs, game one. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
A
So
rookie quarterback against the MVP of the league. Also, probably
Right.
not a scenario I would love.
right.
I guessed Bills by 10.5 over the Broncos.
All right. I swear I hit this exactly. 8.5.
8.5.
Think it's low, huh?
Yeah. Only because that's like an easy tease. I'm going to tease that tonight. It's a
Their defense is
no-brainer.
pretty good. Like the Bills, I'd be surprised if they scored 40 on them. So if they score 30, then Denver has to get to 22.
Just feels like
know.
anytime they need to play, they get to play.
Yeah.
The Bills.
Probably.
They had that week 4 game. They got their asses kicked against Baltimore. They've had some shaky hour-long stretches, but for the most part, I like their offense at home in the playoffs. I just trust it. You trust their offense at home or the Ravens offense at home more?
Yeah, let's see that game, right? Don't we
Yeah,
want to
let's
see
see that game.
Baltimore Buffalo? How about neither of you guys screw up? Don't mess this up. Get past these junk teams. Sorry, Denver. And see you in a divisional round.
Well, that's the thing. If we can just kind of push everybody to round 2, we could potentially have
Great week.
KC against the Chargers, Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit, Minnesota rematch, and then Philly or versus Washington or Tampa, 2 teams that love playing Philly.
It's too good to be
Tampa
true.
beat them. Those are 4
Right.
great games. I like all of those games.
Let's do it.
Okay. Next game in Philadelphia, Eagles, Packers. And I can't imagine the Packers are psyched that it played out this way when they could have
No.
potentially not played the Eagles.
Right. They
but it's-
almost pulled the boner of the decade with Love getting hurt today, coming out. And then it's like Schefter's like, he's questionable to return. I'm like, questionable? Why would he ever return? Like, if his grandmother's on fire at midfield, he shouldn't return. Like, this
Right.
is nuts.
Yeah.
Why would he, what's the point? So the Bears win. Who cares?
Well, we forgot to talk about this at the top, which was my fault. But it seemed like Washington was just ready to lose that game 17
Yeah.
times.
Mhm.
And once again, they have a cardiac kids win. But now they get to play at Tampa. Anyway,
Speaking of Jerry, I thought that was going to backfire. The talk is that Cooper Rush was about to hit his incentive at 55% of the snaps. He was at 52.
yeah.
And that's why they put Trey Lance in. I'm like, watch this MF throw for 4 touchdowns, and then Jerry's going to have to pay him $60 million next year. This
That
is
did
going to
not
bad.
happen.
Nope, not even close. So
He had a
worked out.
couple plays when he runs around and creates time where you can
Yeah,
see it, and then he throws the ball and it's just 2 yards short of a guy or it's sailing over
right.
somebody's head. He's just not accurate. That's
Perfect
it.
preseason week 3 quarterback. We'll keep him there.
It's crazy how many picks and stuff the Niners gave up for him when I
Yeah,
guess just on pure potential and how he looked in a couple really nuts. They almost seems like they don't take enough shit for that, and they stumble into Purdy with the 7th round pick. But
right.
wow, Eagles, I have -4 over the Packers.
You're going to get this one. I had 3. It's 4.5.
Mm,
So I'm up
Vegas on.
3-2 with 2 left.
It's a nice spot for the Eagles.
Yeah, I guess, is it weird that what's now it's been a few weeks for Hertz, right? This is kind of like a fighter that we haven't seen fight in like a year and a half now.
Right.
I don't know. We're going to
Yeah,
see
they
him at
get to a
100%.
2 seed. They get to play this Green Bay team that feels like they peaked 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
If they win it, there's a really good chance they could get the Bucks in round 2, which is nuts. A team that weren't even sure was going to make the playoffs at
Right.
12:55 p.m. today. So they could basically, I don't know,
They
be
should move it to
cruising
Brazil. This is where it all started.
and then
Move this game.
go back. Can we get that grass back?
Yeah.
Next one, Washington against the Bucks in Tampa.
Mm.
I have Washington. It's funny. I had the Bucks favored in this for as when I was doing Guess the Lions, and then I just switched it. I was like, you know what? They're gonna have Washington favored. So Washington -1.5. That was
Shouldn't have
my
switched
pick.
it. Shouldn't have switched it. I had
Okay.
Tampa -1,
What
but
is it?
mostly by default. Tampa by 3.5.
Oh my, wow. So
So
I'm
how many
5
rookie
points off. That's
quarterbacks?
pretty rare for me for the playoffs. That's makes me want to bet the Bucks.
I
I mean,
think
it
they're
makes me
into
want
your
to bet Washington.
manifesto. Yeah, right? With the rookie quarterback on the road, although they didn't kill Knicks as much.
Yeah, but I would argue. Now I'm gonna look at the Bucks.
It's tough. The Bucks played so poorly for 40 minutes today in a must win.
Yeah,
It's hard to like them. But Washington didn't play great either, let's face it.
so Tampa, they lost to your team. I guess their best win is the Chargers,
Is that it? No,
and
they
they
have
beat
another good
Philly
one.
in week 4 and
Yeah,
Detroit in week 2. So their best win
right.
since September is the Chargers. Those 2 wins in
Yeah, they beat
September are
the
really
they
good.
beat the 1 and 2 seeds. Yeah.
Since the bye week, they beat the Giants, Carolina, Vegas, the Chargers, lost to Dallas, beat Carolina, beat the Saints.
Mm.
I don't know.
Think it's a little steep.
You would want to lay points with Tampa?
At this point, they have playoff experience, right? They're kind of a playoff veteran team, right? Where
Hmm.
Washington, I'm not going to say they're just happy to be there, but there might be an element of that.
I don't mind taking the points with that. All right.
Biggest over under too, 49.5.
I think being up by 5 points is some sort of sign. If I was seeing it that way, I should probably trust my gut. Monday night, Vikings at the Rams, and I had the Vikings by 1.5 in LA.
All right, you crush me here. It doesn't matter because I'm going to beat you overall. I had 4.5. It's 2.5. Minnesota -2.5.
You had Minnesota by 4.5?
Yeah, stupid. So you get it. But I went 4-3.
Oh man. So we're tied now.
We are tied. Now, what do you think the look ahead line would be for this? Like, I was probably closer if like last night, if we would have guessed the line for this, right?
Which one? The Minnesota? If we
Yeah, like
guessed it
before we
24
saw.
hours ago?
Yeah, because I mean, there is a chance that Sam Darnold's a little iffy against a tough nosed defense, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. Why? What
They
do
were
you
on
think it would
such
have
a
been?
streak. There was such a streak of scoring 30 plus points, right? So I thought it would have been 4.5. I should have moved it based on today.
FanDuel has odds for the number 1 draft pick. Cam Ward is -125. Sanders is +105.
Hmm.
Hunter is 10-1. And then everybody else is long shot.
Your guy Kelvin Banks right there, 50-1.
He's not going to be the first pick though, right?
I don't see jack shit. I don't see odds on jack anywhere.
What about that Abdul Carter at 60 to 1? If somebody just wanted to go
Yeah, I mean,
defense.
these guys could move around. So what do we see? We see a pro day. We see Wonderlicks. I don't know. I guess these could move, but some of those guys I don't
It's
think will.
weird that everybody's so heavy. All right. Anything else you want to hit? Little NBA?
On this,
Jimmy
what do
Butler
we want to
trades?
hear? Oh, Mike McCarthy to the Pats.
Come on.
Schefter. This is
Why
interesting.
doing this to me? This is such a
You would hate
traumatic day
that?
for me. I'm like a shell of myself today. So
You
spend
have
the whole
two
year
great
watching this fucking team and they're the worst team in the league and they don't get the worst pick.
you finally have a great quarterback in Joe Milton. I'm proud of you. It's good.
You think, would you take Joe Milton if like how many teams would actually take Joe Milton over what they have right now?
Where did he
Four?
get who
Would you,
was
if you
it?
would rather have him
Daniels?
than anyone on Cleveland?
Oh, at this point, I think so. Where did you draft him?
He's like a fifth, sixth rounder. What's weird is he sucked in the preseason. I thought because he was one of those guys. He was
Yeah,
throwing
yeah.
everything 140 miles an hour, but he had
Right.
like real touch today. He was good. He was moving around. He evaded some sacks.
You
He
hated
was,
it.
well, I was happy for him because everybody says he's a great guy, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it was ripping my intestines out of my body. I just couldn't believe it. Like you gotta be
And now
kidding
we
me.
look, but you don't even know who you were going to trade for in this draft. So yeah, like it's fine. Get some wins. It's nice. It's nice for the team.
Well, we already traded it. We got jack shit. The Butler trade's going to happen this week. I was telling you with the NBA, I was telling you about
Houston, right?
yeah, and then he used to beat the Lakers tonight. Although it was a good game. It was tight, but I
But
still
I
feel
think I
like
said, well, let's wait a few games, right? I think. Oh no, you said their
yeah.
January's
I
hard.
said their January was about to get hard.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. Because I was looking at I really think there's a chance San Antonio can make the playoffs. And House and I
Yeah,
talked about it on Thursday. Oh, so now they're plus 350. So it's right around what we talked about. They don't have the odds for Houston today, but San Antonio would have to jump either the Lakers or Houston, basically. And the thinking is Wemby's now a top seven guy, and maybe they make a trade. And
right.
so we were looking at that for
Well, don't we want to
future
wait a little
odds.
bit? Like they have, I think they have like tough games coming up. I think we'd get better odds. They have the Lakers
We could
twice.
probably
They're
wait.
at the
Yeah.
Bucks. They're at the Bulls.
Yeah, we can wait on it.
Um,
I'm
all right.
monitoring it. What do you got for parent corner?
All right. So my oldest was here, right?
Yeah.
And big Oregon fan. The Ducks went to the Rose Bowl, saw his team get destroyed, and like people like, you going? Why aren't you going? I'm like, I don't know. It's for the kids. At this point, it's for the kids. I'm not going to be one of these idiot fathers because I paid tuition. Like I sent my kid, and so now I'm the big. I'm like, I'll root for them. I'll root for him. And I was trying to convince him that getting blown out is so much better. He just didn't want to hear it when he got home. Like he's very much into this is the big cause he's taken on. Like that the Big Ten is better than the SEC. It's like F the FCC. I can't stand it. It's like, and I guess as a parent, this is a little less stressful than if it's cause involved like protesting for or against causes in the Middle East. So all right, yeah, good. Hate the SEC all you want. But anyway, he was really bummed they lost, and he's gone now. He went back to school. But he went back on Friday, and his mother was furious and despondent. Like he went back a day early, and like none of his friends were going to be there, and it
He
made her
just
feel
kind of wanted to
bad.
get away from everybody.
I think so. And he just wanted to get back to no one. And I was like, listen, I try to put myself in that position. I was like, I think I would have liked this. Like, right. If you could have gone back to college and had like a day to shop or whatever, just lay
Yeah.
around and do nothing with no one there. Like, I think I would have liked that. That's fine. And the other thing I was thinking is, we spent the entire weekend and entire holidays complaining about our parents, like Melissa and I, like the gift card. They
Yeah.
lost these gift cards and they're arguing about who got more or less and
Yeah.
hospital visits and getting them to and from. Like, maybe that's not smart. Maybe we have to have a poker face, like, because then I think they feed off this, right? Like, like he doesn't want to be. It's like, oh, all right, it's all right to hate your parents. Good, you gave me the okay, and now I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to leave early for school. So there's not really a story attached to it, but I just think I think you have to be careful when you think you're being cool, making fun of your parents. I think it kind of sets a different tone with your kids potentially. Know what I'm saying?
Well, you made me think of how they talk about how inside the NBA is too critical about the NBA
The
product, this
league,
theory,
yeah,
and that
right.
makes people more critical because they're just following the leader. So it's a similar type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's
in
it.
the
I
NFL,
just,
everybody's like, praising everybody at all times on those studio shows. We're doing
right.
like long interviews, but everything's like positive and
Yeah.
pushing pushing the product.
We have to be less Barkley and more
But how would you push the
Orlovsky.
pro how would you push the product of your own parents?
I think it's just like, you know what? They raised me well, and I'm glad I'm in a position
I'm
I'm
so
in to
glad they're
help
still
them and
healthy.
things
Yeah.
like that. They're still healthy,
Yeah.
and
So
you
lucky to
know,
have them around.
I would never leave a day early to to be away from them. I don't know, something
I
like that.
definitely did that in college. I remember my junior year, I
Yeah,
went back. I just went back and stayed in because we had an apartment. I was like, you know what? You know what's great? The apartment. Nobody's
of
going to be
course.
there. I went back. So I see it.
Yeah.
Kudos.
What about
Kudos to
now?
all
How
Jim.
about you? Don't you like being like in an office, like getting away from everything for a few hours or something?
Yeah.
Like it's nice. Yeah.
Well, Zoe left. She left today. She went to go hang out with her boyfriend who lives in Florida.
Does she have school tomorrow?
No, she doesn't have school for another week.
Uh,
So
all
we were
right.
kind of like, "You're leaving now?" And she's like, "Well, I've been here for 2 weeks." It was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I don't know."
Sick of you complaining about your parents.
So what do you think they're going to complain about with us?
Well,
Like
that's the
10,
scary
15,
thing.
20 years from now?
Like I'm already, there's that commercial where you're training people not to ask people about the weather and stuff. I forget I won't say it's another insurance. I know we have our good friends,
Yeah.
State Farm. But yeah, I don't know. I'm already writing shit down, like what to avoid. Like just
Dad's
like,
going nuts about week 18.
yeah,
All the
right.
playoff scenarios. What a fucking lunatic. He's
That
93
I'm
years
not gonna.
old.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, my dad's rooting for the Patriots to lose for 35 straight years now. What the hell? Get over it.
Just once he wants the first pick again. uh, my parent corner. So we hooked up. My son has a PS5 and we hooked up a PS4
Mhm.
on a different TV so I could play Fortnite duos with them,
Nice.
which led to me making a Madden comeback and playing some Madden with him and realizing how much worse I am now at video games than I used to be,
Right.
especially Fortnite, which I was okay in Fortnite at the end of the 2010s when we were playing, and I actually won a couple times, but I was always like strategic and trying not to get into too many gunfights. Now when I'm playing these video games, they're coming so fast. It's the number one thing I've done that's made me feel old in a lot in probably this whole decade. I'm like, I'm doing plays in Madden and the clock's ticking down. I'm like, wait, I'm still trying to figure out what play I'm going to call in single back. There's like
Right.
7 seconds left. So I realized like I need to start playing video games I need the speed of it. I want to get the hang of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play more video games. But I was driving down. I had a good drive in
That's your
Madden.
resolution to play more video
No, well,
games.
I was bonding with my son who never wants to
Yeah.
hang out with me, and I was like,
Oh,
"This is,
okay.
I guess, this is what it's going to have to be. I'm going to have to play some video games, so we'll
Right.
hang out." But my son was like, you're pretty good. You should stream some of this, and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "You should stream some of the games, like so people can see like what you're playing." I'm like, "I'm definitely not doing that," but this is just his generation now, just wants to show everything at
Yeah.
all times. I wouldn't do it mostly because I'd be so embarrassed. But the reason I'm telling you this, because Sam Darnold, when he was running around and he was under pressure the whole time and he was running to the right and chucking it up, that's basically my Madden offense now.
Mm.
And you know what? I'm not gonna. I feel like I have another run in me. I think I could come back. I
Really?
just need some practice. Yeah. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna play one game at least every night. And anyway, I told this to my wife, and she was really, really horrified. And
Oh,
this
she's
could
not happy with it.
not
Oh,
happy at all. Not happy at all. She's like, "What? I thought you were just going to do that over the break to play with Ben." I was like, "No, I might start playing a little more again. It's good for my brain. It's good for my reflexes. I'm older." And
yeah.
and it was kind of one of those, oh, and I could tell this is like right going into the memo
She's making she's
for the divorce lawyer. Yeah.
she's talking to her friends about it right now. Retained an attorney. Yeah.
Bill's playing video games. But then I have some people my age, like my friend David Nyman plays Fortnite. I think he like a lot. Like he plays like competitively.
Yeah.
So there's some people that just this is how they like unwind.
Well,
So
could you get to a spot where you would actually stream it? Like if you got good again, would you consider streaming it or no?
I mean, as you know, once upon a time, I was one of the great video football game
Sure.
players ever. I mean, I
Yeah.
know I don't want to brag, but that's a lot,
No,
what
no, it's
everyone
fine.
was saying.
It's okay.
No, I want to get to the point where I can play my buddy Gus because
Mm,
Gus still plays all the time, and we were playing we were playing in television in the '80s, so I want to see if I can get my mojo back. But I gotta say, like, so many plays now, we almost made these games too complicated. Like, do I need a 1,200 play playbook?
yeah. I don't know that NFL coaches. I know that most of them would be terrible with the time management at the end of video games. I just absolutely know it. But as far as, yeah, you're right. I wonder if it is too many plays for them. I wonder if they'd call the
Maybe
same
that's what it
six
is.
in the
Maybe
formation.
I feel like Gerard Mayo. Well, another reason I brought this up. So I started a franchise season and I
Mhm.
had the Patriots and I immediately traded for T. Higgins and
Oh,
put him with Drake May. And then it's when you're the owner, it gives you the option to fire your coach. So I'm going to fire Gerard Mayo at the end of the year. I want to get through the
good.
first season and then I'm going to fire him and try to hire somebody else.
That's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
you should fire him every game. That's the Patriots way now.
This is another
And
thing with Madden. They made it like way more complicated to be the owner. Like I've got to like hire and fire scouts.
yeah, right.
And I got to decide about renovations for the stadium and all this shit. I'm like, can I just play the
You could
Bills?
spend 40 minutes before you kick off. Like
Yeah.
just going in and out of that
It's
stuff.
like,
I know.
oh, you have a chance to upgrade the cover skills of your fifth cornerback.
Right.
I don't know. They definitely overthought this. I think
The
video games
college
were the
game,
peak was 20 years ago.
the
College game
college
apparently has
football,
passed it.
it's even worse though with that, with scouting and recruiting and NIL and shit like that. It's like it's really, you should like Lombardi would be like, this is too hard, I think
This
at this
is
point.
this is harder than actual
Screw
real life.
that. I'm going to go
Well,
sell
so the
insurance.
other thing
Yeah.
with Fortnite, hey, do you know anything about Fortnite?
Not too much. I know the kids play it, but
Because you
let's
can
hear it.
build stuff, and the better the people are, you can build like little
Hmm.
stairs to climb up wherever, and you can build a little house around yourself to protect yourself. So the people that got really good at it, they're just maniacs. Like they're just building stuff, and people like us that go in, we have no chance. So my
Right.
son was like, "You should play no build Fortnite." I'm like, "What's that?" It's like, "Well, nobody. It's same game, but you can't build anything, so you
Hmm.
can't do any of that stuff." And I was like, "So it's kind of like it's like the G League for Fortnite." It's like, "Yeah." I was like,
You
"Put me
okay
in
with
there. Put me in there with Bronny James."
that?
Oh, right there.
You're the Bronny of Fortnite. That's
Yeah.
great.
So anyway,
Yeah.
2025. We'll see how long video games last, but I hope it gets my
You have
brain going.
jack shit as your
Anyway,
tailback.
Jack,
I don't know
I'm
if
gonna
you're
create jack shit.
do it. Yeah.
If you're randomly playing me on Madden and you see a running back that's jack shit, that's me.
That's
So
you.
we'll see if it brings me and my son closer together.
I love it.
We'll find
I
out.
love
I
it.
am taking him
That's
to
nice.
Raw tomorrow, so we are father son bonding a little
Oh,
bit.
you are
Yeah,
nice. Okay. That'll be
first
good.
first Raw after 32 years, changing networks.
Can you play Fortnite on your phone while watching Raw? No,
We'll find out.
we'll see.
Doesn't matter. All right, that's it for Parent Corner. What do you got to plug? We're all gonna
Oh,
be
we're
hanging out
back,
this week a
man.
little bit.
We're gonna be hanging out. We got the crew coming in, right? The Ringer pregame show. Everybody's flying in. House from Washington, JJ from New York, and Raheem has like 17 homes. I don't know exactly where his flight's gonna originate. Probably Vegas, but they'll be out here. We'll be watching the games together. And Cousin Sal's winning weekend against all odds through the Ringer, all on the Ringer Podcast Network and FanDuel TV. Also, I should announce I'm holding a press conference tomorrow to address the rumors that while working at Fox, I had sex with Jason Whitlock, and I did not. I did not, in fact, do that. Was I attracted to the men? Of course, I was. But what's being alleged is not. It did not take place. I promise you that. I'm.
Um,
I'm not doing
Raheem texted me asking if I had a burner guest room. I didn't know what that meant.
it. Well, he has one. There was a lot of talk about when he goes to Vegas. If he,
No, I'm
you
kidding.
get, oh, I see. I got you. All right.
It should
He's
be
the
great.
best,
I'm
Raheem.
sad Miami's not in the playoffs though. We're not gonna have the JJ chalk
I
outline
know.
on
I
the
was saying
couch.
that today. I was like, all our teams suck. How is it that everybody, even DeBundo was on? I was like, he's a
Well,
Colts fan. I'm like,
House is the only one
House
who
is
has
the
the
only
team
one.
now.
He was really hoping that he could see a game at SoFi, but somebody didn't do their job. Well, I guess the Rams didn't do their job. Otherwise, he might have
Rams
had a
didn't do their
chance.
job. All right, this
Yeah.
was produced by Cerruti and Gahao and Kyle. You can follow everything we do on the Bill Simmons YouTube channel. I'll be back on Tuesday with a pod of new rewatchables coming on Monday, and you can catch Sal at all the places he saw. We will be back next Sunday live. We'll see it. How much fatter will we be next week?
Oh yeah, I think let's go over 4.5 pounds gained. I would say that's good. Hey, we do 2 pods next week, right? I
What are
think
we
we did it
doing?
last year like that. Well, because there's a Monday game. We can't guess one of the
Oh
lines.
yeah. We do like you do like a 25-minute appearance on the Tuesday
Right.
pod. Yeah.
Right. I
Oh,
think we
that's
figured
good.
that out. Yeah.
You know what? I just liked when it was 3-3.
I know. Yeah, they get stupid with this,
I
but
don't understand why they did it that way.
what are you gonna
Anyway,
do?
all right, Sal. Good job, you.
Good job by you, buddy.
Thanks to everybody for watching.